A young man in Judea demands his inheritance, hands trembling as he clutches the silver coins. His father's face remains calm, but his eyes reveal a quiet grief. This is not a request, but a symbolic death. The son turns away, choosing a path that leads far from home. He flees to Sidon, a city alive with wine, music, and laughter that masks the emptiness growing inside him. He spends his wealth recklessly, chasing pleasures that fade as quickly as they come. Meanwhile, back home, his father waits patiently, carving notches into a wooden staff, each one a prayer whispered into the wind. The son's departure leaves a silence heavier than words, a wound unseen but deeply felt. Months pass. The son kneels in filth, fighting pigs for scraps of rotten food. His once fine robes are tattered rags, his pride reduced to hunger. A beggar spits. The master's son now licks the ground we walk on. In his despair, he hears his father's voice. Even servants have food to spare. The words cut deeper than hunger, stirring something buried within. He begins to see the depth of his fall and the fragile hope of redemption. The taste of ashes. The son crouches in the pigsty, his fingers clawing at the mud for half-rotted carob pods. The stench of sweat and swine bile clings to his skin, a far cry from Sidon's perfumed halls. He recalls the merchant's flattery, the wine that once tasted like power, now ash coats his tongue. Across the pen, a sow growls as he steals her feed, her beady eyes mocking his fall. "You're no master here." A laborer laughs, hurling a clod of dirt that strikes his brow. The son wipes blood and filth, staring at his reflection in a rain puddle, a ghost of the man who left Judea. Nightfall brings cold, and with it, the beggar's taunts. "Your father's fields overflow while you suckle pigs," one jeers. The son curls into a ball, his ribs pressing against skin stretched thin by hunger. In the darkness, he hears his own voice echoing from the past. "I'll never return." But now, a whisper rises, his father's words, buried deep. Even the hired hands eat their fill. The irony burns worse than thirst. He digs his nails into his palms, the pain a feeble anchor against the storm of shame. Dawn reveals a road stretching east, its stones worn smooth by countless travelers. The son staggers to his feet, his sandals long replaced by calloused flesh. One step, then another. Each movement sends jolts through his malnourished frame, yet he presses forward. The wind carries the scent of olive groves, and for the first time in months he remembers home, not as a prison, but as a place where bread waits warm on the table. "I will say it," he mutters, rehearsing the words that taste foreign on his lips. "Father, I am no longer worthy." The road of remorse. The son limps across arid plains, his shadow stretching thin under the midday sun. Each step grinds blisters into his feet, yet the rhythm of his stride grows steadier, as if the road itself pulls him forward. He passes merchants who avert their eyes, their camels laden with spices he once bought without thought. At a well, a woman offers water but recoils at his stench. "You smell like death," she whispers. He drinks greedily, the liquid mingling with blood from cracked lips. Flashbacks intrude, his father's hands blessing the harvest, the servants' laughter at supper. Now, even crows circling overhead seem to mock his journey. Night falls as he reaches the outskirts of Judea. A shepherd's fire glows in the distance, its smoke carrying the scent of roasted lamb. His stomach howls, but he turns away, unworthy of even this small comfort. Instead, he practices his confession. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and you." The words clot in his throat. A rustling startles him. A snake slithers past, its scales glinting like the coins he wasted. He closes his eyes, hearing his younger self boast, "I'll never need your mercy." Dawn finds him kneeling at the crossroads leading home. His hands, once soft from privilege, are now maps of calluses and dirt. In the valley below, his father's house stands unchanged, olive trees swaying, smoke curling from the hearth. He grips a rock to steady himself, but it crumbles to dust. It's too late, he mutters. Yet, as wind carries the sound of morning prayers, he rises, one foot forward, then the other. The road narrows, but his breath comes easier. For the first time since leaving Sidon, he lifts his head. The embrace. The sun stumbles up the final hill, his breath ragged as the homestead's walls rise into view. Workers in the vineyard freeze, their hoes mid-air, whispers spreading like wildfire. Is that? He falters, knees buckling under the weight of shame. Across the field, the father drops his staff, its notches marking every day of absence, and runs, robes billowing, dust clouding his sandals. The son presses his forehead to the dirt, rehearsing his plea. I am no longer worthy, but strong hands yank him upward. Before he can finish, the father's arms lock around him, squeezing as if to erase every mile of separation. The son's tears smear mud on the old man's shoulder. Servants rush forward, but the father barks orders. Bring robes, sandals, the ring. His voice cracks, betraying years of stifled grief. As they wash the son's feet, the water turns brown with Sidon's grime. The father watches, trembling, then clutches his son's scarred hands, once soft, now leather, and presses them to his own tear-streaked face. This flesh is my flesh, he murmurs. A feast erupts in the courtyard, lamb sizzling on spits, figs bursting with honeyed juice. The son flinches at each clink of silverware, haunted by swine troughs. Under a fig tree, the elder brother glowers, his calloused hands gripping an untouched cup. Years I slaved for you, he hisses to the night sky. The father finds him there, placing a hand on his rigid shoulder. All I have is yours, he says, nodding toward the revelry. But he was dead, and is alive again. The brother's silence hangs heavier than any rebuke, his unanswered question swallowed by the feast's clamor. The unseen son. The elder brother stands rigid at the field's edge, his hands stained with soil from dawn till dusk. The feast's music drifts through the olive groves, each note a needle in his chest. Years I've broken my back here, he mutters, crushing a fig in his palm. A servant approaches, breathless. Your brother's returned, your father slaughters the fattened calf. The elder's face darkens. He storms toward the house, boots kicking up dust, his shadow a sharp line against the celebration's golden glow. At the courtyard gate, he halts. Inside, his brother wears robes finer than any he's owned, the ring glinting like a betrayal. The father dances with servants, laughter raw with joy. You never gave me a goat, the elder hisses when his father rushes to him. This waste eats your wealth, and you crown him? His voice cracks, decades of obedience unraveling. The father grasps his shoulders. All I have is yours. But your brother was dead now, he breathes. Shouldn't we weep relief instead of tallying wrongs? The elder brother turns away, eyes burning. Beyond the revelry, the horizon stretches. Unchanged, endless. He thought faithfulness meant being seen. Now he knows. Love is not a ledger. His clenched fists tremble as the father's hand rests there, gently prying them open. A single carob pod falls to the ground, its husk splitting to reveal seeds no one will plant. The Feast of Shadows. The elder brother paces the vineyard, the feast's laughter clawing at his resolve. Moonlight bleaches the olive leaves silver, mirroring the cold weight in his chest. He squandered everything. He snarls, kicking a stone that skitters into the dark. A servant girl approaches, offering wine. He knocks the cup aside, red pooling like blood on the dirt. I earned my place here, he mutters, though the words taste hollow. Inside, his brother sits at the father's right hand, the ring's emerald gleaming a jewel he'd never dared to ask for. The father's toast, to life restored, rings in his ears, a taunt masquerading as joy. At midnight, he slips into the storeroom, fingers tracing the clay jars of grain he'd meticulously filled. Each vessel bears his sweat, his sleepless nights. "You'll inherit all this," the father had promised. Now the vow feels like ash. He smashes a jar, wheat scattering like dead insects. Outside, the musicians strike up a bridal tune, the same melody played when his mother was alive. He sinks to his knees, her face surfacing in memory. "Protect your brother," she'd whispered on her deathbed. Even when he fails, the irony chokes him. Somewhere a lamb bleats, the fattened calf's kin unaware of its fate. Dawn finds him at the well, drawing water with mechanical precision. The younger brother appears, hesitating at the courtyard's edge. Their eyes meet guilt against fury. The elder opens his mouth, but only a growl escapes. The younger extends a fig cake, honey glistening. "Take it," he mumbles. The elder swats it away. The cake crumbles, ants swarming within seconds. "Your pity reeks worse than Sidon," he spits. The father watches from the doorway, hands clutching a robe the elder's size, never offered. A breeze lifts the fabric, wrapping it momentarily around both sons before it snags on a thorn bush torn in two. The weight of grace. The elder brother paces the vineyard's edge, his boots crushing carob pods into the dust. Inside, the feast's music grates against his nerves, lyrics about redemption taste like vinegar. He seizes a sickle, hacking at vines already stripped bare. "You gave him everything," he mutters, blade biting wood. A servant approaches, offering a plate of roasted lamb. The elder smashes it against a rock, fat sizzling on stone. "Take this to the worthy son," he sneers. The father appears, silent, his shadow merging with the moonlit rose. "Why him?" the elder demands. "I bled for these fields." The father's hand rests on a gnarled olive trunk, its bark split from years of storms. "What was lost is found," he says. "Must you lose yourself to understand?" The younger brother lingers at the courtyard gate, fingers tracing the ring's engraved crest, a symbol he no longer recognizes. He watches his brother's silhouette rage against the night, a mirror of his own defiance months prior. A servant girl presses a honey cake into his palm. "For him," she whispers, nodding toward the vineyard. The younger hesitates, then steps into the darkness. The elder whirls, sickle raised. "Come to gloat?" he snarls. The younger extends the cake, trembling. "I stole your place," he says, "but the table's wide enough for two." The elder's arm quivers, blade catching moonlight like a threat or a plea. Dawn stains the sky blood orange. The father stands between his sons, a hand on each shoulder. Their breaths fog the chill air, one ragged with fury, the other with shame. The elder's fist unclenches. The sickle falls. The younger's ring glints, its gem cracked from the night's chaos. "Stay or go," the father murmurs. "But know this, love isn't earned. It is." The brothers lock eyes, the unspoken truth hanging heavy. Forgiveness offered doesn't mean wounds forgotten. Somewhere a lamb bleats, innocent, oblivious, as the feast's ashes swirl into the wind. Final thoughts. This story is more than a tale of mistakes and forgiveness. It is a mirror reflecting the struggles we all face, the fear of failure, the pain of rejection, and the hope for a second chance. Each of us has been the lost son, the waiting father, or the jealous brother at some point. What matters most is the courage to confront our past, to seek reconciliation, and to embrace grace even when it feels undeserved. If this story has impacted you, ask yourself, what burdens keep you from coming home? What walls block love and healing? The path to redemption begins with a single step, one of humility, forgiveness, and hope. I hope this video touched your heart. Subscribe for more powerful narratives that inspire growth. Hit the notification bell to join our journey of reflection. Remember, forgiveness is not just about others, it's about freeing yourself. What will you choose to let go of today?